What's going on, guys? It's Michael MGF, and today I'm finally doing the analysis video to cover all 5 of the sets that LEGO is dropping at the end of this month on Force Friday for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And you might be wondering, why is this video so late? Well, it wasn't until September 1st, I think, the start of this month, when pretty much every toy company out there was given the all clear from Disney to actually unveil all of the products that they're going to be offering for Rogue One, and thankfully that was not the case last year, because last year we all walked in pretty much on Force Friday and just had to prepare for what to buy based off of leaked images, and there were tons of things that people were not able to afford because of that. And I think Disney has learned from that mistake last year, and that's why they've given all toy companies the all clear to show off everything that they're going to be releasing on Force Friday, September 30th, the end of this month. And I think that is definitely the much better way to go, and this definitely makes it a little bit easier on everybody, because we actually know what we're going to be buying. And for me, 5 of those things include these 5 sets that LEGO is putting out that we're going to be talking about for probably the next half an hour or longer, depending on however long you're willing to stick around for this video. But there are only 5 sets for Rogue One in this initial wave, whereas last year we had 7 for The Force Awakens, and also the prices are a little bit more forgiving this time around in comparison to the first wave of sets that came out for The Force Awakens. But these sets do seriously look fantastic, and we're going to be talking about them for a while here. And thankfully all these pictures have been released in like full HD. I think like all of these are at least 4,000 by 3,000 when it comes to the resolution, so that is amazing. And they're also in PNG form. None of this matters to you, and I don't even know why I'm mentioning it, but regardless, let's see how many mistakes I make and don't catch in post that you guys will fill the comments with. And with all that said, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Rebel Ewing fighter, our second to largest set out of the entire Rogue One wave, next to Krennic's shuttle, which we'll talk about after this. But the Rebel Ewing fighter, this new vehicle in Rogue One, is going to be $79.99 on Force Friday, and is that going to be worth it? I mean, I would say so. It looks like a really solid set overall, and you do get a pretty decent amount of minifigures, a bunch of which have new molds, and it is, you know, there's definitely a lot to discuss here. So we'll start off with the 2 minifigures, of course, Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor. Looking at Jyn first, and by the way, this is the one set that they are exclusive to. This is the only set you can get those 2 lead characters of the movie in, and I'm not going to lie, the Jyn Erso minifigure is a little underwhelming, given that she's the lead of this movie. You would have hoped that maybe the likeness on the minifigure would have been a little bit closer to Felicity Jones, and you know, I was kind of hoping that they would have gone with an actual hairpiece, like a new hairpiece for her. Now here's the whole deal with that. I'm guessing that this Jyn Erso minifigure, like all sets, you know, for upcoming movies, is based off of concept art. And if you've seen concept art for Jyn Erso before, she is seen with this same hat that LEGO has gone out of their way to make a double molded piece for. So I'm guessing that's what, you know, that's why she has actual hat on instead of, you know, getting a new hairpiece. And I mean, that's okay for this first wave. I'm sure they'll give Jyn Erso an actual hairpiece in like the second wave of you know, sets for Star Wars Rogue One or Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Still getting used to that name. So yeah, the likeness isn't the best on this newly printed face, but I do have a few ideas for what I'll do for my custom minifigure. The hat piece is new though. Like I said, it's double molded, so the bottom half of it is actual, like her, you know, her own hairstyle. But you know, given that it's not an actual like full-blown hairpiece, and it's just kind of like this, you know, double molded piece with her hair and her hat, it's not preferable necessarily, but again, it's based off concept art, and you know, we'll just have to deal, I guess. And it does appear that she has a microphone molded onto it as well, which is definitely pretty cool, and that's printed in some silver. And we have the same like Rebel goggles that we've seen God knows how many times already attached to those. And then thankfully, with Cassian Andor, the minifigure of Cassian, it looks like they really nailed the likeness on Diego Luna's character here. I mean, like his minifigure, rather. The minifigure looks awesome. It looks like they really nailed his likeness, as I said. And this one is sporting like the blue jacket outfit that he has in the movie. I don't know if that's going to be like a first or second act type thing, and then he loses it for the third act. But it does seem like he'll have this outfit for a pretty decent amount of the movie. And then he also has some leg printing, which is super cool. And yes, it's standard hairpiece that you would expect, and I mean that's probably the one that I'll use on my minifigure. And we've seen these minifigures before, like a long time ago, start of the year, before we even got any confirmation, you know, as to what these sets would be. But then if we take a look at Bugden here, the Bugden, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Bugden, we'll just go with Bugden, I guess. He's a Lakaru species, new species to the Star Wars universe, but definitely pretty cool, and LEGO has gone out of their way to make an entirely new mold for him, and it definitely looks fantastic. I love all the different details they have printed onto this guy, the fur, the eyes, the teeth, everything. It looks fantastic, and I'm not going to lie though, I do kind of feel like he's a little oversaturated, because I mean, we have only seen one shot of him, and it was in the behind the scenes reel they released at Star Wars Celebration Europe this year, but it kind of looks like, I feel like, you know, maybe a sand green for a primary color on his outfit would have been a little bit more appropriate, but that's serious nitpicking. This looks like a great minifigure, and the detail looks fantastic. Of course, extending down onto the legs, he's got leg printing, which is super cool, and that's something that you would have expected from the Jyn Erso minifigure. And just kind of looping back around to the Jyn Erso minifigure really quick, because I realized I didn't actually cover her accessories, or, you know, really the rest of the minifigure. If you look at the Jyn Erso minifigure, you know, if we look here again, she's got the Indiana Jones bag, which is pretty cool. She's got the same pistol that Rey had in the Force Awakens sets. The accessory that she seems to be wielding, like the actual like main gun that we see her having in these product photos, I don't really know what it is, to be honest, and some even thought that it might have a new lightsaber hilt piece, but then now that we got these full HD pictures, it was revealed that that's not actually the case. And then she's got a very similar like fabric piece that we saw on like Princess Leia, for instance, in last year's Imperial Shuttle Tiberium. It's a very similar style, looks like a similar material, but obviously being in dark bluish gray, so that's pretty cool. And then she basically has just a pair of black legs, which is, I think, kind of unfortunate. I think some straps or something being printed onto her thighs, like the rest of the minifigures have, would have been a little bit of a welcome design change, but regardless, it's still pretty cool. And if we take a look at the other two minifigures included with this set, we got a Rebel Ewing pilot, which is pretty cool. He's got some new printing on the same helmet piece that we've seen, again, God knows how many times at this point, but still pretty cool. The torso looks great on him, and the head does as well, and he looks like he'll look great inside this Ewing here. And then finally, our last minifigure here, we got the Rebel Trooper. And the Rebel Trooper does sport a newly molded helmet piece, which is pretty cool. Again, double molded, potentially maybe actually just printing. Regardless, it does look really awesome and, you know, very accurate to what we've seen thus far in Star Wars Rebels. Gosh damn it, Star Wars, you know, Rogue One's marketing material so far. And yeah, he's got an olive green torso, some pretty awesome detail on that, some magazines, it looks like, and some leg printing, and that's pretty cool. Those leg printing kind of mimics like that of like cargo pants, or, you know, some kind of tactical pants. It looks pretty useful for purist minifigures. And then pretty much a placeholder face that we've seen before plenty of times at this point, but plenty of the times in the last wave of Star Wars movie sets, like, you know, for The Force Awakens, which is when I believe that face was actually introduced. But yeah, so just to cover the actual Ewing itself, finally, you'll notice the Ewing is pretty bright in terms of its color scheme, but definitely accurate nonetheless, you know, featuring white as its primary color, blue as the secondary, and then plenty of gray and yellow bits trickled throughout. And then as you saw with the Ewing pilot here, the cockpit does of course open, and it appears as though that will be a printed cockpit if I'm not mistaken, but it could just as easily be stickers. Regardless, it does look pretty nice, and the control panel inside also appears like that's going to be a sticker on that 1x2 cheese slope, but still pretty cool regardless. This thing is going to feature a set of spring-loaded shooters at the front, which is pretty cool. Those are always great playability features to have on these sets. And then the opening doors on the sides, just as we see, you know, in the trailers that we've seen so far, we have seen this done, and it looks like LEGO has portrayed it here, and that's pretty awesome, featuring some pretty sweet-looking stickers on the doors themselves, and it adds, you know, for some extra detail, and those look pretty cool. And you'll also notice in this same photo there are some stickers on the engines, which is pretty cool as well. And those engines actually have like some pickaxes in them, or at least on the bottom ones, so that's pretty cool as well. And Jyn Erso is of course sitting outside of that, so it looks like you'll be able to sit at least with 2 to 3 minifigures inside the interior of the troop bay of the Ewing rather. And then of course it is called the Ewing, so the wings, LEGO has made sure that the wings do fold out to make that shape of a U, and they look pretty cool. The feature looks fairly straightforward, but definitely pretty awesome regardless. And I mean, you know, it's what you would expect coming out of this set, that they wouldn't leave that feature out. It's kind of pivotal to this, you know, this ship's design, and the engines legs look fantastic from the back as well. Those look pretty awesome, all of which are capped off with a standard 1x1 transparent orange cone. And one thing I do want to point out is that it appears that there is going to be like some storage at the top. LEGO hints at that on the actual product listing on lego.com. You can find the full product details for every single one of these sets on lego.com. These sets are already up on lego.com, kind of like in preview form, so you can, you know, get a feel for the set and everything that I'm already showing you here. But yeah, so anyway, one last thing I want to point out on the Ewing before I forget it is that it appears that on both sides of the troop bay, as the doors open, there are a pair of stud shooters, which are pretty cool for some added playability features. And yeah, guys, aside from that, there really doesn't appear to be anything else going on with the Ewing. And I think this one definitely looks like it's going to be worth the $80. We got, you know, the new character Bugden, we got Cassian Andor, and the Jyn Erso minifigure, along with a couple really awesome Rebel troopers. And on that note, that pretty much covers everything that the Ewing has to offer, and I absolutely cannot wait to review this one for you guys. And I'm really glad I managed to talk about this set for 10 minutes because we were kind of bordering that. But yeah, Rebel Ewing Fighter looks awesome. Next up, the biggest set in the lineup for Rogue One, Krennic's Imperial Shuttle Man. This set has a lot going on, and as I said, it's the most expensive one, coming in at $90. And will it be worth the $90? I mean, it definitely looks like it that it will, because the design of the shuttle looks awesome, and it looks like the shuttle itself is going to be a great build. But the minifigures in this set are quality, man. Oh my god. We'll start off with director Krennic himself, our little Lego Ben Mendelsohn. This one looks awesome. I mean, the likeness to Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic. I mean, I don't really think that the hair color is necessarily spot on, but given Lego's, you know, color palette, I think dark tan was definitely the way to go. And yeah, you'll notice he's got a standard white cape using the newer material that was introduced in these past couple years, and it definitely looks a little bit awkward, but of course that is to allow for Krennic to sit in the main seat of his shuttle, and that's understandable. He's got a standard pair of black legs, and the detail on the torso is fairly minimal, but that's because his costume design is kind of limited in that area, because that's just, you know, the standard, you know, I guess dress code for the Empire, or at least the Imperial officers, and Krennic is no exception. But the Death Troopers that accompany him, man, oh my god. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that they are the best minifigures to come out of this first wave of Rogue One sets, just simply for the detail and the helmet molds. Man, they look awesome. I guess we'll start off by saying that they have plenty of printed detail on these newly molded helmets. The newly molded helmets design is fantastic. It nails a new Death Trooper design, and then all like the different individual lines that run down the middle of it, the different gray lines that they use to highlight the lenses for their eyes, the green on the bottom, it's all there. It all looks fantastic. They look amazing. The torso design work, from what we can see, looks amazing. I mean, they have leg printing as well. These are full-blown Death Trooper minifigures. They've even got the pauldrons, which have printing on them as well. They have everything you would want from the Death Trooper minifigures. I mean, Lego freaking nailed it with these guys, and you get two of them to accompany Director Krennic in this set, of course, and I just could not be happier with what Lego has done with those two minifigs, and I cannot wait to get my hands on those. And yeah, then in this set, of course, we do have K2SO, who is exclusive to this set as well. Pretty much all the minifigures in this set are exclusive to it. That's pretty much the whole thing with the Rogue One sets. All the minifigures in each set are exclusive to that set, and I haven't really taken a detailed look at the rest of them, and you know, well enough to actually back that statement up. But anyway, I'm totally off topic here. K2SO in this set without Cassian Andor, which is kind of surprising. You would think that they would have put K2 and Cassian in the same set, but regardless, K2 still looks like an amazing minifigure. He's got a standard pair of black battle droid arms, a standard set of black super battle droid legs, but the chest piece, the torso piece, is completely new, and it does have a little bit of printing on the front of it, which is super cool, and then the Imperial insignia printed onto the side of his left arm peg, which is super cool. I love that. Usually Lego doesn't print on like on the sides of pegs, but I think that's really great they made sure to add that on, because it's a signature, you know, it's a key factor in K2SO as a character, right, is that he was an Imperial droid that was since reprogrammed by Cassian Andor, and I think that's awesome. Lego made an effort to put that on there. And then you'll notice he's got a new head, though, of course, which is super cool. As part of that torso mold, it's attached to to it, and that looks great. Cannot wait to, see it in person and how it looks, because it looks like the actual design work underneath the main, I guess, dome part of his head, if you will, looks awesome. And you have a little bit of additional printing on the side of his head there, and of course the two white dotted eyes. And this just looks like an amazing portrayal of K2SO in minifigure form, and I cannot wait to paint this one up after I review this set for you guys. And yeah, so then next up we got Pow, and Pow is an interesting looking dude. He doesn't actually have a species name as of yet that Lucasfilm has released, so we don't really know what he is, but he's definitely a new species to the Star Wars universe, like the sound that you saw in the last set there with the Rebel Ewing. But he's got a newly molded helmet piece, which does have its own set of printing on the side, which is super cool. The design work on his face looks awesome. The torso looks great, and same can be said for the legs. I mean, we're not really familiar with who Pow is as a character yet, but he looks really cool in this set. And yeah, then we also do have Bodhi Rook, and Bodhi Rook looks really awesome. I cannot wait to see, how the actual minifigure comes together in terms of the backpack design that he's got going on there. That looks really cool. You'll notice that the likeness to the actor whose name is skipping my mind at the moment looks awesome as well. He's gonna have a double-sided face, which I don't know if there are pictures of the alternative facial expression. Actually, there are. You'll notice if you see on the other side, you've seen the aggressive side of Bodhi's face, but if you look at the other side, you'll notice he's got a pair of goggles, which is super cool. Same exact hairpiece that Kanan has, but in black as it originally was, but when the Ghost was first released in 2014, before LEGO made the design change to dark brown. Standard black pistol for him, and then a pretty standard set of printing on his torso, and I do not believe he has leg printing, if I'm not mistaken, but he still looks like an awesome minifigure. All the minifigures in this set look amazing. And yeah, then we also have Krennic's shuttle itself. Can't forget the giant set. It looks amazing. I mean, what is there to say? It just looks like such a really cool take on the Imperial shuttle design, obviously in black, and it just looks so exclusive to him and his Death Troopers that I cannot wait to not only see it in the movie, but to have this set and all of its opening panel glory. You'll notice that the entire thing opens up, the cockpit, 3 giant panels, and there's even a ramp on the back that opens, and this thing has 4 available seats for minifigures, which is super cool. You not only have Krennic to seat inside, on the main, pilot seat, but you can also seat his Death Troopers among maybe 1 or 2 other minifigures in this thing. There are clips in there for their blasters, so you won't have accessories falling out of it, and you won't have to deal with them. You can just clip those right on. That's super cool. He's got a 1x2 cheese slope for the main control panel in front of him. That has a sticker on it, and along with the 2x4 black tile, which also has a sticker on it, and that's all super, super cool. And yeah, the wingspan looks pretty lengthy as well. Of course, the wings can fold. That's what you would expect, of course. That's something that I'm pretty sure LEGO could not leave out on this. And we also do have these spring-loaded shooters on the bottom of each wing, which is pretty cool. Some guns toward the front, which is, I mean, pretty nice. You can't leave that out as part of the design, of course, as well. And then toward the front as well, you'll notice the boarding ramp that comes down, very similar to Kylo Ren's command shuttle. It kind of looks like sort of very small, but it gets the job done, not like an actual ramp that the minifigure is meant to sort of walk down, but more so slide down. But it's still really awesome. The Krennic shuttle just looks like such a damn cool display piece, and I would love to put this next to Kylo Ren's command shuttle. Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, this looks like a really impressive build. And if you look toward the back here with the the opening ramp, you'll notice that there are a couple of more clips, sets of clips. So you got 4 more clips on the back for even more blasters, and that's really awesome. And then we have the skids toward the bottom of the landing gear, which can be adjusted, and that's pretty awesome as well. And aside from that, there's really not much else to say with Krennic's shuttle other than the build looks awesome. And for $90, I think this looks pretty awesome, man. The price points are so far looking a lot better than they did with The Force Awakens last year. And yeah, cannot wait to review this set for you guys. Don't know how many times I use the phrase can't wait throughout this segment, so we're going to go ahead and finally move on from this one. For our third set, we have the return of the Imperial Atsc Walker. Guys, I don't know if some of you realize how long it's actually been since we've had an ATST. It's been 7 years since we had a full build of an ATST in any LEGO set. It has been that long. Holy crap. That is the better part of my YouTube career. since the last time we saw an ATST build, aside from the damn Planet set or any other polybags that LEGO might have put out since. That is insane, and this ATST, our first ATST in 7 years, is gonna be $39.99, so $40 for this one, but you do get a pretty good set of minifigures, 3 minifigures with the ATST, and of course the main one being Baze Malbus, who is Jang Wen's character, of course, and Baze Malbus looks really cool, and I love this minifigure. It's just, yeah, couldn't we have had like a different hairpiece? And I understand why LEGO gave him this hairpiece because he has the backpack, but it's just like part of me really wishes that LEGO was able to give him the Thorin hairpiece from the Hobbit sets, because that is definitely his hairstyle. I'm running out of ability to speak. And it's definitely his hairstyle, but it also just looks I'm guessing would look that much better on him. But then of course you have the problem with the backpack, so I don't know. I'll see if I can figure something out with my minifigure when the time comes to work on this one. But regardless, aside from that, the likeness to Jang Wen looks fantastic on both sides. This being his more like timid facial expression, the more standard one, and then he also does have an aggressive facial expression, which is equally as cool. And then LEGO, of course, has gone out of their way to make sure his gun looks huge, because as Jang Wen made clear at Star Wars Celebration, along with a couple spoilers, he's got a big gun. So LEGO made sure to do that here in the set. And then the Rebel Trooper included here is pretty cool. His helmet is also exclusive to this set, and it's completely brand new, an entirely new mold, entirely new design, and it looks awesome, and just like what we've seen so far in the trailers. And the face we've seen already in the Force Awakens sets, and I'm guessing probably among others by now. I'm sure LEGO has put it in other lines that I'm just not aware of, or maybe they haven't. Regardless, we've seen that face before, and that's just a rehash, but still pretty cool nonetheless. And his torso design does look pretty cool, along with some fairly simplistic leg printing that is also on him. And aside from that, we do have the return of not only the ATST, of course, but the ATST driver. And I mean, we did get the ATST driver in the Planet set, so I guess it hasn't been too long since we had one, but it's still pretty cool to have this one. And I'm not really sure what the one in 2014 looked like that came with the Planet set, but everything on this minifigure looks new to me. The torso looks really awesome, and then we have a pair of light bluish gray Death Star Trooper legs, and as you guys know if you follow my showcases, I love that design for just standard pants. It just is so great, and LEGO's now doing it in different colors, and the inner customizer in me is just super stoked and hype over that. The face looks pretty cool. I believe he has a double-sided face, and the first one is more like, you know, Imperial personality, smirking, I'm going to kill you all, that type of expression. Then we've got some actual printed goggles onto his ATSC driver helmet. The helmet's not new. We've seen that over the years, but I mean, the printing on the top of it for those goggles is, and I think that's definitely pretty cool. And aside from that, though, that is pretty much it for the minifigures. And as I'm looking through these photos, actually, I don't really think the ATST driver does have an alternative facial expression. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know otherwise. But the ATST pretty much has all of the features you would expect. It does look like it'll have a couple stickers on the legs, or maybe just a couple on the feet. Regardless, there are going to be like 1 or 2 stickers on this ATST build, but this looks like the best ATST we have had, hands down. And it does have like the similar design work on the back that we've seen with other ATSTs like 7 years ago, apparently. Jesus. And you can see that the knob on the back does actually rotate the main, you know, like the main head of the walker, and that's pretty cool. There are a couple, like the eyes are see-through, and you can see the ATST driver inside there, and though that's pretty awesome. Then you have the adjustable flaps right above those eyes, and some guns on the sides, which don't actually do anything aside from the one on the right, which appears to be a stud shooter, which is pretty cool. And then we do also have a pair of spring-loaded shooters inside this thing as well, which is pretty awesome. And as a matter of fact, I take that back. The one on the right is not a stud shooter. There are no stud shooters on the ATST, so disregard there. But we do get a pair of spring-loaded shooters, which is definitely pretty cool. The entire top hatch, like the entire top of the ATST, flips open, and then you have an individual little hatch in the center. Of course, like we've seen on ATSTs before, that opens up by itself if you don't want to open up the entire thing. But the interior cockpit, we can't really see it all that well, but it's just more of like this straight shot into it. So I mean, we can see the majority of it. This guy's packing a thermal detonator in there, along with his pistol and a standard, just a standard sticker for the actual like control panel piece. piece. So I mean, aside from that, I mean, the interior does look fairly limited. I mean, what would you expect? It does look pretty awesome, though. It looks like it gets the job done. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can seat 2 minifigures in there like the like characters were able to do in the original trilogy and and beyond. But yeah, then the back of the ATSC does reveal some other stickers that are a part of it. You'll notice that these stickers on the 2x2 discs on the very back of the main head of the walker, those are stickers, and those look pretty cool for some added detail. And then we also have a sticker right there next to the knob that that rotates the main head of the walker, and that's pretty awesome as well. And aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously the ATSC does have leg articulation. That's pretty much a given at this point. That's what you would expect coming from this build, and it doesn't really look like the articulation has really that much variety in terms of joints. It looks like it can really only bend back and forth, or like right around the thigh joint, and it doesn't appear to have knee joints or anything else. Not that that would really be accurate anyway, but just something worth noting regardless. And this looks like a really awesome build, and for $40, man. Yeah, I mean, I think one more minifigure would have made the blow that is that $40 a little bit softer, but it still looks really cool, and I definitely plan on picking this one up and reviewing for you guys. So yeah, there you go, the first ATST since 2009. Holy crap. For our second to last set, we've got the Imperial Assault Hover Tank, which is the cheapest set in the Rogue One lineup, but that cheap price is $30. So yeah, while the prices for these Star Wars Rogue One sets are definitely better than Force Awakens first wave last year, yeah, there is not that one like Rey speeder that's like $13 or I think that was $20. I don't remember, but there definitely there isn't that one small set with like one minifigure and a vehicle. This is it. This is the cheapest set. But I mean, that's not really an issue because it looks like a great set. The hover tank itself looks like an awesome design, and I absolutely love the Chirrut minifigure. We get little Lego Donnie Yen in this set, man. How awesome is that? He looks great. Lego looks like they absolutely nailed it with him. He's got a double-sided face, one that has a smirk, and then the other that has a more like timid and calm expression, because I don't really picture him in the movie really getting aggressive, and I think that really is awesome that Lego seems to have portrayed that here. It's sort of like that calm and at peace type look with both sides of his face, and that's really cool, using a standard Widow's Peak hairpiece. And it's really cool how Lego portrayed his blindness here, having like just sort of like white pupils encompassing like the majority of his eyes, and that's pretty awesome as well. And then his torso design looks great, nailing everything that we've seen thus far in Rogue One marketing. The waist cape looks fantastic too. Lego could have just as easily printed that waist cape onto his legs and cheaped out, but they made a full-blown new waist cape for him, and it has black printing on it as accurate to his appearance in the movie, and that is fantastic. And then he's got his signature staff that we've seen him wielding in trailers thus far, and that looks awesome, just made up of some standard reddish brown bars and lightsaber hilts. Now, of course, obviously, he isn't a Jedi. He's just, he's just a strong believer in the Jedi way, as he supports them on the planet of Jedha. And he's also got his signature rifle, which has like two tooth pieces on it and a giant cone piece on the front. Now, I don't know anything about this blaster as of yet. It looks like Lego has obviously gone the brick-built route for it, and I mean, it looks really interesting. I don't really know what it's called or anything about it, and I don't think we've seen it in any marketing material so far, at least in any footage. Maybe they've had it on display at conventions or something, but I don't personally know anything about it, and I have to look into it, but it still looks really awesome, and I mean, I don't really think there is much to say about it other than it's just his signature blaster. And so yeah, finally though, we do have the Imperial Assault hover tank pilots, and they're, I guess, the drivers rather, and I mean, they look really awesome as well, featuring an entirely new helmet mold. Now, a lot of people confuse this helmet mold with the Shore Troopers, but I think it's starting to become common knowledge that there is a significant difference, and these guys look fantastic. I absolutely love their helmets. Lego has nailed it once again. If there's anything that you can definitely definitively say about the Rogue One sets, it's that the Death Troopers, the Shore Troopers, and now these hover tank pilots, Lego just really nailed all of them, and that's fantastic, and it's just so damn cool, man. They look great. The printing and everything, the detail, all of it's accurate. The torso designs look awesome and also accurate. The leg printing is all there. These minifigures in this set, man, all three of them are the full package, and they're definitely the number one thing to look forward to, on top of the already awesome looking hover tank itself. And the hover tank, of course, featuring some really cool design work. We've got some snot going on there on the front, and speaking of the front, You got some spring-loaded shooters, some pretty decently sized guns on the sides, which can clearly rotate, and then that's really awesome by use of what appears to be a couple Technic wheels on the sides. You can do that, and that's pretty sweet. And then if we take a look at the orange crate that you see there, that actually opens up. You can lift off the lid by use of those two black rods that you see the hover tank pilot lifting, by using in that picture there. And inside you can store a pretty minimal amount of accessories, just one blaster pistol. So great, I guess. I mean, it's more of a decoration than anything, and LEGO just kind of fit in that little extra storage. But yeah, then the top of it completely opens up, and you can see that's where you seat your two hover tank drivers. And inside, you have what appears to be a pretty decently spacious cockpit. I think that's really cool. I honestly did not know that you could have two drivers inside until I saw these set pictures. And of course, the entire interior is accessible not just through the top, but also through the front, which also opens up two giant panels, which is super, super cool. And then you have a couple, actually a pretty decent set of 4 transparent wheel pieces on the bottom, so that this thing actually does hover across whatever surface you put it on. But anyway, yeah, so then aside from that, there's really not much else to cover with the Imperial Assault hover tank other than, the basic rundown that I already gave you, such as the accessible interior that does have the 2 panels that make that, that make it accessible. You have the 2 guns on the sides, the spring-loaded shooters, the crate with minimal storage, a bit of a snot going into the design work, and also some clips to store their accessories. You can actually clip their blasters onto the sides as well, which is super cool, because you guys know how annoying it is to just have random accessories, not be with your minifigures when you actually, when you need the storage to keep them on the set with the build when you, have it in use, and that's pretty cool as well. But aside from that, man, for 30 bucks, you ask me, this set looks like it's absolutely going to be worth it, and of course, we'll be able to determine that definitively on Force Friday when I bring you guys the review of this one. And little Lego Donnie Yen, man, that's so damn cool. Okay, here we are at the last set, the TIE Striker. This one's going to be $69.99, a $70 set. And to be honest, this is the only one that kind of has me thinking, okay, maybe this one could have been $10 cheaper for one reason. And let me just say right now, the build looks great. It's the build gets the job done. It's got the design right. It's got the playability features. The build is fine. It's the roster of minifigures that seems a little stale. Because, for instance, with the first wave of Force Awakens sets, they put Rey in her speeder set and in the Millennium Falcon, but then with this first lineup of Rogue One sets, and granted you have 2 less sets this time around, but regardless, I feel like Jyn Erso needed to be in this set as well. Or hell, maybe we could have even taken Bodhi Rook out of Krennic's shuttle and put him in this set and swapped around the minifigure rosters from the Ewing and maybe put Cassian in that set. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's a little bit dry in this set in terms of the set of minifigures, and granted, the minifigures themselves are all fine. It's just none of them are really that exciting, to say the least. And so that's really my only issue with this entire set, is just that the minifigures are less than exciting. But that's really it. And just to cover the Shore Trooper, like I said, the Death Troopers, the hover tank drivers, and now the Shore Troopers, like I've been saying throughout the entirety of this video, LEGO has been nailing all of them, and they really do look great. The Shore Trooper helmet mold looks fantastic, and all of its respective printing, could not be more impressed with that. The torso design is great. All the different sand blue elements incorporated into the design, as we see, as we have seen so far with the Shore Trooper designs, like conventions and other marketing material. That's all accurate, and that's really cool. And then you'll also notice that the light printing is also there, and that looks really cool, featuring some dark brown sections in there, and that's pretty nice. And then I do want to point out that the Shore Trooper has what's called an E22 blaster, and what's really awkward is in some of these product photos, you'll notice that LEGO used an Alien Conquest pistol to portray this E22, which we still have yet to actually see, really. And so the E22 in this product photo, for instance, doesn't have the binoculars on the front end of it, and then on the box, for instance, and a couple other photos, it does. And I'm like, that's kind of awkward how, for whatever reason, LEGO in the main product photo took that binocular piece off of the front end of that Conquest pistol, but the Alien Conquest pistol, but still pretty cool design regardless. And then we've got the new revamped revamped version of the TIE Pilot, and this is a new TIE Pilot variant. The legs are not new. The legs are just a standard pair of Death Star Trooper legs, but the printing on the front of the helmet is completely new, and so is the design on the front and back of the torso, and that looks super cool. Love the new TIE Pilot. He's got a pair of binoculars, and then if we take a look at our Rebel Trooper, of course, we've pretty much seen the head and helmet in the other set. One of the other sets, I forget which, but we see pretty much just another Steve Rogers / Hawkeye Captain America head, and then we've got the Rebel, the standard Rebel helmet, now with the printed gunmetal color wrapping around that, which again is a nice change of pace from the sand green / olive green or dark green that we usually see on it. Yeah, then the torso is super cool as well. Love that design. It looks super awesome, gets the job done. His blaster does have a connector on the front end of it, so that's pretty cool. We've seen that done before though. And then the legs, again, we've seen these in a few of the other sets in this lineup, but they're still pretty nice to have carried over onto this guy as well. And yeah, then aside from that, we've got our standard Imperial ground crew guy over here. He's got a new helmet, which is super cool. Love that design. I mean, there's really not much else to say about it, and we can't really see what heads LEGO's going to be using underneath these. They're probably going to be clone heads, if I were to guess. But he's got a new torso design and a new leg design as well. His legs are not just a standard pair of Death Star Troopers legs. Those legs are exclusive to him. Not sure if they were used on any other minifigures in these sets. I don't remember, but they are unique. A unique design for this lineup. And then he does, or I guess not really he, but they do have a comm link included in this set, which is super cool. At first I was thinking, are those the Death Star, like the Death Star plans data tapes? But no, that's just a comm link, and a pretty massive comm link. Usually you have comm links on like the character's arms, but for whatever reason, it's you got a sticker comm link on this giant walkie-talkie piece. But yeah, now the actual TIE Striker. The TIE Striker design is super cool. It's almost like a TIE Interceptor cut in half, and then the cockpit placed in the middle. But obviously the wingspan is longer, so there's that as well. But it's still super cool. Another vehicle Lucasfilm and Disney are going to have to explain away as to why it's not in the original trilogy. But LEGO's definitely done a great job to portray it here, and it's got a fairly limited amount of features. The wings, they are, as I said, the wingspan, they're significantly longer than most TIE Fighter variants, but they do look really cool. Love the angles that LEGO's used here. They can be folded up and down, which is super cool, so they can be adjusted. I don't really know what modes differ from the other. I'm guessing when the wings are folded upward, that's when they're, that's when it's in flight mode, and that's when it's combat ready. And then when they're folded down, I take it that's when it's supposed to be, in a landed position, and that's pretty cool. The cockpit opens on two different ends, on the top hatch and then the front window, and so that's pretty cool. We've seen this done before, of course, several different occasions. And then we've got the battle droid torso sporting as, I guess, the control panel / control stick for the TIE Pilot, which again, we've seen LEGO use that design choice before. And then we do have stickers trickled throughout the entirety of this build on different 1x6 and 1x8 tiles. You'll see some stickers on some slopes here and there. And then, as I mentioned, the comm link itself on that walkie-talkie piece is a sticker. We've got some storage in the back. Speaking of the comm link piece, you'll see the comm link piece shoved in the back there. And then we've also got a blaster connected into an actual red connector piece there. And then, of course, that hatch closes right over those two accessories, and that's pretty cool for some added storage. Again, I always mention how annoying it is to have accessories just all over the place and not actually given a place within the build. And then in terms of playability and features, aside from everything I've already covered, we do have some spring-loaded shooters on the bottom, and you guys know spring-loaded shooters are super effective, and this build definitely could not have gone without them. And aside from that, that's really it. And like I said, the build itself, the TIE Striker, does look great, and you really can't expect them to seat any other minifigures other than the TIE Pilot. He's really the only one that needs to go inside of it, so that's not really an issue. Like I said, the build of the TIE Striker is great. I just really wish we had one of the main characters from the movie included in this set as well, because the roster of minifigures doesn't really seem like it can hold up by itself. So a Jyn Erso or Bodhi Rook or Cassian, somebody else needed to be in this set other than maybe the Rebel Trooper, or maybe we could have had one of those characters on top of the minifigures that are already in this set. But that's just my opinion. Regardless, guys, I will still be reviewing this set along with all four of the other ones that I already covered this Force Friday on September 30th, so you can look forward to all of that. And with all that said, though, thank you so much for sticking around throughout this far. I know this has been a pretty lengthy analysis video, but we're going to go ahead and finally wrap this up. Okay, so my closing thoughts on these first 5 sets for Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. They all look great, and I mean, they are what I expected, but what I expected was quality, and I think all 5 of them are exactly that, and that's why I cannot wait to get my hands on these the night of Force Friday, which of course starts on September 30th, but the midnight launch will be on the night of September 29th, and I will be there to pick up all 5 of these sets, along with tons of Black Series figures, Funko Pops, and God knows what else, but for that entire week following Rogue Friday, I suppose, as it's also being referred to as, I will be reviewing one of these sets every day, probably starting with the Ewing and then Krennic Shuttle, and then I might do the ATST or the Assault Hover Tank after that. I don't know, but it's going to be like last year with The Force Awakens, 1 review a day for a straight week, and it's going to be pretty awesome because these sets, like I said, do look amazing, and I cannot wait for this to finally happen. And yeah, so I mean, aside from all that though, guys, I do want to mention you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, by the way. Links to all 3 of those are always down in the description below, and something I guess I really haven't made clear to a lot of you because I've been still seeing a ton of comments asking me, where are the X-Men figures? Why are you not doing X-Men Apocalypse? X-Men is now out on digital, and the DVD for Civil War is out, and then X-Men's coming out pretty soon here on getting its physical copies too, and I am working on X-Men figures. So those of you wondering, I am working on minifigures for X-Men Apocalypse, and I actually have been making some pretty good time with those minifigures, and I will hopefully have the showcase for X-Men Apocalypse featuring the 10 minifigures that I have planned going up somewhere in the middle of October, I'm hoping, and I'm going to keep working on these as soon as I get this video edited and posted. And I mean, aside from all that though, guys, that is pretty much it for this analysis video. I'm really hoping Force Friday goes according to plan this year. It's going to be pretty hectic, just like it was last year, but we'll all get through it. So that's it, and I'll catch you guys later. Alright, goodbye. On the entire lineup of shit. My closing thoughts on these first 5 shit, damn it.